The Mongol invasion of China was a major military effort by the Mongols to invade China. It spanned 6 decades in the 13th century and involved the defeat of the Jin dynasty, Western Xia, the Dali kingdom and the southern Song, which finally fell in 1279. The Mongol Empire under Genghis Khan started the conquest with small-scale raids into Western Xia in 1205 and 1207. By 1279, the Mongol leader Kublai Khan had established the Yuan dynasty in China and crushed the last Song resistance, which marked the onset of all of China under the Mongol Yuan rule. This was the first time in history that the whole of China was conquered and subsequently ruled by a foreign or non-native ruler, compared with the Manchus who did so a few centuries later. Conquest of Western Xia. In the late 1190s and early 1200s, Temujin, soon to be Genghis Khan, began consolidating his power in Mongolia. Following the death of the Karaite leader Onkhanta Temujin's emerging Mongol Empire in 1203, Karaite leader Nilka Sengnam led a small band of followers into Western Xia, also known as Shi Xia. However, after his adherents took to plundering the locals, Nilka Sengnam was expelled from Western Xia territory. Using his rival Nilka Sengnam's temporary refuge in Western Xia as a pretext, Temujin launched a raid against the state in 1205 in the Edson region. The Mongols plundered border settlements and one local Western Xia noble accepted Mongol supremacy. The next year, 1206, Temujin was formally proclaimed Genghis Khan, ruler of all the Mongols, marking the official start of the Mongol Empire. In 1207, Genghis led another raid into Western Xia, invading the Ordo region and sacking Wulahai, the main garrison along the Yellow River, before withdrawing in 1208. In 1209, the Genghis undertook a larger campaign to secure the submission of Western Xia. After defeating a force led by Cao Lianghui outside Wulahai, Genghis captured the city and pushed up along the Yellow River, defeated several cities, and besieged the capital, Yinchuan, which held a well-fortified garrison of 150,000. The Mongols, at this point inexperienced at siege warfare, attempted to flood out the city by diverting the Yellow River, but the dike they built to accomplish this broke and flooded the Mongol camp. Nevertheless, Emperor Liangquan, still threatened by the Mongols and receiving no relief from the Jin dynasty, agreed to submit to Mongol rule, and demonstrated his loyalty by giving a daughter, Chaka, in marriage to Genghis and paying a tribute of camels, falcons, and textiles. After their defeat in 1210, a Western Xia served as faithful vassals to the Mongol Empire for almost a decade, aiding the Mongols in their war against the Jin dynasty. In 1219, Genghis Khan launched his campaign against the Khwarezmian dynasty in Central Asia, and requested military aid from Western Xia. However, the emperor and his military commander Asher refused to take part in the campaign, stating that if Genghis had too few troops to attack Khwarezm, then he had no claim to supreme power. Infuriated, Genghis swore vengeance and left to invade Khwarezm, while Western Xia attempted alliances with the Jin and Song dynasties against the Mongols. After defeating Khwarezm in 1221, Genghis prepared his armies to punish Western Xia for their betrayal, and in 1225 he attacked with a force of approximately 180,000. After taking Karakoto, the Mongols began a steady advance southward. Asher, commander of the Western Xia troops, could not afford to meet the Mongols as it would involve an exhausting westward march from the capital Yinchuan through 500 kilometers of desert, and so the Mongols steadily advanced from city to city. Enraged by Western Xia's fierce resistance, Genghis engaged the countryside in annihilative warfare and ordered his generals to systematically destroy cities and garrisons as they went. Genghis divided his army and sent General Subutai to take care of the westernmost cities. while the main force under Genghis moved east into the heart of the Western Xia Empire and took Ganzhou, which was spared destruction upon its capture due to it being the hometown of Genghis's commander Chagan. In August 1226, Mongol troops approached Wubai, the second largest city of the Western Xia Empire, which surrendered without resistance in order to escape destruction. In autumn 1226, Genghis took Liangchov, crossed the Helanshan Desert, and in November laid siege to Linggu, a mere 30 kilometers from Yinchuan. Here, in the Battle of Yellow River, the Mongols destroyed a force of 300,000 Western Xia that launched a counter-attack against them. Genghis reached Yinchuan in 1227, laid siege to the city, and launched several offensives into Jin to prevent him from sending reinforcements to Western Xia, with one force reaching as far as Kaifeng, the Jin capital. Yinchuan lay besieged for about 6 months, after which Genghis opened up peace negotiations while secretly planning to kill the emperor. During the peace negotiations, Genghis continued his military operations around the Liupan Mountains near Gaiwan, rejected an offer of peace from the Jin, and prepared to invade them near their border with the Song. However, in August 1227, Genghis died of a historically uncertain cause, and, in order not to jeopardize the ongoing campaign, his death was kept a secret. In September of 1227, Emperor Moju surrendered to the Mongols and was promptly executed. The Mongols then mercilessly pillaged Yinchuan, slaughtered the city's population, plundered the imperial tombs west of the city, and completed the effective annihilation of the Western Xia state. Conquest of Jin dynasty. One of the major goals of Genghis Khan was the conquest of the Jin dynasty, allowing the Mongols to avenge the earlier death of a Mongol Khan, gain the riches of northern China and to establish the Mongols as a major power in the East Asian world. Genghis Khan declared war in 1211, and while Mongols were victorious in the field, they were frustrated in their efforts to take major cities. In his typically logical and determined fashion, Genghis and his highly developed staff studied the problems of the assault of fortifications. With the help of Chinese engineers, they gradually developed the techniques to take down fortifications. Islamic engineers joined later and especially contributed counterweight trebuchets, Muslim Feo, which had a maximum range of 300 meters compared to 150 meters of the ancient Chinese predecessor. It played a significant role in taking the Chinese strongholds and was as well used against infantry units on the battlefield. This eventually would make troops under the Mongols some of the most accomplished and most successful besiegers in the history of warfare. As a result of a number of overwhelming victories in the field and a few successes in the capture of fortifications deep within China, Genghis had conquered and consolidated Jin territory as far south as the Great Wall by 1213. He then advanced with 3 armies into the heart of Jin territory, between the Great Wall and the Yellow River, with the help of Chen Yulu, one of the top officers who betrayed Jin, as well as the southern Song, who wanted revenge on Jin. Genghis defeated the Jin forces, devastated northern China, captured numerous cities, and in 1215 besieged, captured and sacked the Jin capital of Yanjing. However, the Jin emperor, Shanzong, did not surrender, but moved his capital to Kaifeng. The city fell in the siege of Kaifeng in 1232. Emperor Aizong fled to the town of Kaizhou. The dynasty collapsed after the siege of Kaizhou in 1234. Han defectors, many Han Chinese and Khitan defected to the Mongols to fight against the Jin. 2 Han Chinese leaders, Shi Tian's, Lu Haima, and the Khitan Xiao Zhala defected and commanded the 3 Tumans in the Mongol army. Lu Haima and Shi Tian served Ogode Khan. Lu Haima and Shi Tian Xiang led armies against Western Xia for the Mongols. There were 4 Han Tumans and 3 Khitan Tumans, with each Tuman consisting of 10,000 troops. Shi Tian's was a Han Chinese who lived in the Jin dynasty. Interethnic marriage between Han and Jurchen became common at this time. His father was Shi Bingji. Shi Bingji was married to a Jurchen woman and a Han Chinese woman. It is unknown which of them was Shi Tian's mother. Shi Tian was married to two Jurchen women, a Han Chinese woman, and a Korean woman, and his son Shi Gang was born to one of his Jurchen wives. His Jurchen wives' surnames were Mo Nine and Na Ho, his Korean wife's surname was Lee, and his Han Chinese wife's surname was Shi. Shi Tian defected to the Mongol Empire's forces upon their invasion of the Jin dynasty. His son Shi Gang married a Karaite woman. The Karaite were Mongolified Turkic people and considered as part of the Mongol nation. The Yuan dynasty created a Han army out of defected Jin troops, an army of defected Song troops called the newly submitted army. Conquest of Dali Kingdom. Mongke Khan dispatched Kublai to the Dali Kingdom in 1253 to outflank the Song. The Gao family dominated the court, resisted and murdered Mongol envoys. The Mongols divided their forces into three. One wing rode eastward into the Sichuan basin. The second column under Yunkade took a difficult way into the mountains of western Sichuan. Kublai himself headed south over the grasslands, meeting up with the first column, while Yunkade galloping in along the lakeside from the north. Kublai took the capital city of Dali and spared the residents despite the slaying of his ambassadors. The Dali king Duanzingji himself defected to the Mongols, and helped them conquer the rest of Yunnan with his troops. The Mongols appointed King Duanzingji as Maharaja and stationed a pacification commissioner there. After Kublai's departure, unrest broke out among the Black Jang. By 1256, Yunkade, the son of Subutai, had completely pacified Yunnan. Use of Chinese soldiers in other campaigns. During their campaigns, the Mongol Empire recruited many nationalities in their warfare, such as those of Central and East Asia. The Mongols employed Chinese troops, especially those who worked catapults and gunpowder, to assist him in other conquests. In addition to Chinese troops, many scholars and doctors from China accompanied Mongol commanders to the west. During the invasion of Transoxania in 1219, along with the main Mongol force, Genghis Khan used a Chinese specialist catapult unit in battle. They were used in Transoxania again in 1220. The Chinese may have used the catapults to hurl gunpowder bombs, since they already had them by this time. While Genghis Khan was conquering Transoxania and Central Asia, several Chinese who were familiar with gunpowder were serving with Genghis's army. Whole regiments, entirely made out of Chinese, were used by the Mongols to command bomb-hurling trebuchets during the invasion of Iran. Historians have suggested that the Mongol invasion had brought Chinese gunpowder weapons to Central Asia. One of these was the Huochong, a Chinese mortar. Books written around the area afterward depicted gunpowder weapons which resembled that of China. 1,000 northern Chinese engineer squads accompanied the Mongol Khan Hulagu during his conquest of the Middle East. 1,000 Chinese participated in the siege of Baghdad. The Chinese general Guo Kan was one of the commanders during the siege and appointed governor of Baghdad after the city was taken. But this is probably wrong, since Hulagu's associate, Nazir al-Din Tusi, claims that the Dafa was a certain Asuta Bahadur, or according to Rashid and Bahibrius, Ali Bahadur, who repulsed the Mamluk charge under the Shadow Caliph in 1262. Conquest of southern Song. At first, the Mongols allied with Song China, as both had a common enemy in the form of Jin. However, this alliance broke down with the destruction of Jurchen Jin in 1234. After Song forces captured the former Chinese capitals of Luoyang, Chang'an and Kaifeng from the Mongols and killed a Mongol ambassador, the Mongols declared war. Very soon, the Mongol armies had forced the Song back to the Yangtze, and the two sides would be engaged in a 4-decade war until the fall of the Song in 1276. The Mongol force which invaded southern China was far greater than the force they sent to invade the Middle East in 1256. While the Mongol forces had success against the non-Han Chinese-ruled states of the Jin and Xia, conquering the Song took much more time. The Song forces were equipped with the best technology available at the time, such as an ample supply of gunpowder, weapons like fire lances, rockets and flamethrowers. However, intrigues at the Song court would favor the Mongols. The fierce resistance of the Song forces resulted in the Mongols having to fight the most difficult war in all of their conquests. The Chinese offered the fiercest resistance of among all the Mongols fought. The Mongols required every single advantage they could gain in every military artifice known at that time, in order to win. They looked to peoples they already conquered to acquire any military advantage. After several indecisive wars, the Mongols unsuccessfully attacked the Song garrison at Hechuan when the Great Khan, Mongke, died of cholera or dysentery. However, the general responsible for this defense was not rewarded and instead punished by the Song court. Discouraged, he defected to the Mongols. He suggested to Mongke's successor, Kublai, that the key to the conquest of Song was the capture of Zhangyang, a vital Song stronghold. The Mongols quickly enclosed Zhangyang and defeated any attempt to reinforce it by the Song. After a siege that lasted several years, and with the help of Muslim artillery created by Iraqi engineers, the Mongols finally forced the city of Zhangyang to surrender. The dying Song dynasty sent its armies against the Mongols at Yehue under the incompetent Chancellor Jia Sidao. Predictably, the battle was a disaster. Running out of troops and supplies, the Song court surrendered to the Mongols in 1276. With the desire to rule all of China, Kublai established the Yuan dynasty and became Emperor of China. However, despite the surrender of the Song court, resistance of the Song remnants continued. In an attempt to restore the Song dynasty, several Song officials set up a government in Guangdong, aboard the vast Song navy, which still maintained over 1,000 ships. Realizing this, Kublai sent his fleet to engage the Song fleet at the Battle of Yamen in 1279, winning a decisive victory in which the last Song emperor and his loyal officials committed suicide. Following this, the Mongols established their rule over all of China. The Yuan dynasty ruled China for less than a century, until the fall of Dadu in 1368.